teenager is hit by a car while saving an elderly man from being run over. Hours later, he wakes up in the hospital and is shocked to discover that the crisp autumn air carried the scent of pine and possibility as Tyler Grayson jogged onto the practice field of Maple Ridge High School. The fading sunlight caught the golden 7 on his jersey, making it shimmer like a beacon of hope for the small Colorado town. At 17, Tyler was more than just the starting quarterback for the Maple Ridge Mountaineers. He was the embodiment of their dreams and aspirations. Coach Harrison's whistle pierced the air, bringing the scattered players into formation. "All right, boys, let's see some hustle. Grayson, take the first string through the new play we discussed." Tyler nodded, a determined grin spreading across his face. This was where he belonged, under the vast Colorado sky, with the weight of the football in his hands and the trust of his team on his shoulders. He barked out the signals, watching with satisfaction as his teammates responded with practiced precision. The ball snapped into his waiting hands, and time seemed to slow. Tyler's eyes scanned the field, noting the positions of his receivers, the gaps in the defensive line. With a fluid motion born of countless hours of practice, he launched the ball in a perfect spiral. It sailed through the air, finding its mark in the outstretched hands of his best friend and wide receiver, Ryan Cooper. "That's what I'm talking about," Coach Harrison bellowed, a rare smile breaking through his usual gruff demeanor. "Do that on Friday night, and those college scouts won't know what hit them." As practice wound down, Tyler couldn't help but overhear snippets of conversation from the bleachers, where a small crowd of parents and students had gathered to watch. "That boy's going places," one mother said, her voice tinged with pride despite not being Tyler's own. "Mark my words, we'll be watching him on TV someday." "Maple Ridge's very own star," another agreed. "It's about time this town had something to be proud of." The weight of their expectations settled on Tyler's shoulders, a familiar burden he'd carried for years. It wasn't just about the game anymore. It was about being the beacon of hope for a town that had seen better days. The closure of the lumber mill had hit Maple Ridge hard, and now, more than ever, they needed someone, to rally behind. As Tyler made his way off the field, Ryan fell into step beside him. "Hey, superstar," Ryan teased, bumping Tyler's shoulder. "You ready for Friday? I heard scouts from at least 3 Division I schools are gonna be there." Tyler's stomach did a little flip, excitement and nerves warring within him. "Ready as I'll ever be," he replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "This could be our ticket out of here, man. A chance to really make something of ourselves." Ryan's eyes gleamed with shared ambition. "You know it. Though, let's be real. You're the one they're coming to see. I'm just lucky enough to catch whatever you throw my way." Tyler shook his head, uncomfortable with the spotlight always seeming to shine solely on him. "We're a team, Rye. None of this happens without all of us working together." As they neared the locker rooms, Tyler spotted a familiar figure waiting by the edge of the parking lot. Mr. Whitaker, Maple Ridge's oldest resident and self-appointed town historian, waved enthusiastically at him. "Another spectacular practice, Tyler," the old man called out, his voice quavering with age but no less enthusiastic. "You remind me of my own glory days, you know, though I dare say you've got an arm I could only have dreamed of." Tyler jogged over, a genuine smile spreading across his face. There was something about Mr. Whitaker's unwavering support that always lifted his spirits. "Thanks, Mr. Whitaker. Will you be at the game on Friday?" "Wouldn't miss it for the world, my boy," Mr. Whitaker replied, his rheumy eyes twinkling. "You're writing a new chapter in Maple Ridge's history, and I intend to witness every moment of it." As Tyler bid goodbye to Mr. Whitaker and headed for the locker room, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the precipice of something monumental. Friday's game wasn't just about impressing scouts or winning a high school championship. It was about carrying the hopes of an entire town on his shoulders, about proving that dreams could still come true in a place like Maple Ridge. Later that evening, as Tyler walked home under a sky painted with the vibrant oranges and purples of a Colorado sunset, he allowed himself a moment to dream. He imagined the roar of a college stadium, the flash of cameras, and the pride on his parents' faces as he took the field in a Division I uniform. It was so close he could almost taste it. Lost in his reverie, Tyler almost missed the sight of Mr. Whitaker struggling with a heavy bag of groceries, attempting to cross Main Street as the traffic light changed. Without a second thought, Tyler quickened his pace, intent on helping the old man safely across. He never saw the car that ran the red light, its driver distracted by a buzzing phone. Tyler's world exploded into a cacophony of screeching tires, blaring horns, and a sickening thud that seemed to echo through his very bones. In that split second before pain and darkness engulfed him, a single devastating thought flashed through Tyler's mind. What about Friday? Then, there was nothing but silence and the fading dreams of Maple Ridge's golden boy. The rhythmic beeping of medical equipment was the first thing Tyler Grayson heard as consciousness slowly returned to him. His eyelids felt heavy, refusing to open at first. When they finally did, the harsh fluorescent lights of the hospital room made him wince. Tyler. Oh, thank God. His mother's voice, thick with worry and relief, came from somewhere to his left. He felt her warm hand clasp his own, squeezing gently. Mom. Tyler's voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. He tried to sit up but immediately regretted it as pain shot through his left leg. What happened? His father's face came into view, lines of concern etched deeply around his eyes. You're in the hospital, son. There was an accident. You pushed Mr. Whitaker out of the way of a car, but... His father's voice trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. The memories came flooding back in a rush. The screech of tires, the blaring horn, the sickening impact. Tyler's heart began to race, the beeping of the heart monitor accelerating in tandem. My leg, he croaked, fear evident in his voice. How bad is it? The silence that followed was deafening. Tyler's eyes darted between his parents, desperate for reassurance. Instead, he saw shared glances of worry and hesitation. Tyler, his mother began, her voice gentle but trembling. Your left knee, it's been badly damaged. The doctors had to perform surgery to repair the ligaments. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Tyler closed his eyes, willing this to be a nightmare he could wake up from. But the pain in his leg, dull but persistent even through the haze of medication, was all too real. The game, he whispered, opening his eyes again. What about Friday's game? The Scouts, his father shook his head slowly. I'm sorry, son. Football. It's going to have to wait. The doctors say your recovery will take at least a year, maybe longer. The words hit Tyler like a physical blow. A year, maybe longer. In that moment, he saw his dreams crumbling before his eyes. The scholarships, his ticket out of Maple Ridge, the chance to make something of himself. All of it slipping away because of one split-second decision. No, Tyler said, his voice rising. No, that can't be right. There has to be something they can do. I can't lose everything because of this. His outburst was met with sympathetic looks from his parents, which only fueled his frustration. They didn't understand, how could they? They hadn't been on the cusp of achieving everything they'd ever worked for, only to have it ripped away in an instant. The days that followed blurred together in a haze of pain, both physical and emotional. Tyler endured a revolving door of visitors, teammates, coaches, seemingly half the town of Maple Ridge. Their words of encouragement and praise for his heroism fell on deaf ears. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt broken, lost, and increasingly angry at the unfairness of it all. Ryan was a constant presence, spending hours by Tyler's bedside, trying to keep his spirits up with jokes and stories from school. But even his best friend's unwavering support couldn't pierce the dark cloud that had settled over Tyler. You should have seen Coach Harrison at practice yesterday, Ryan said one afternoon, perched on the edge of Tyler's hospital bed. He was like a bear with a sore head, kept yelling at the second-string quarterback to be more like Grayson. Poor kid looked like he was about to cry. Tyler managed a weak smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Guess they'll have to get used to life without me, he said bitterly. Ryan's face fell. Come on, man, don't talk like that. You'll be back before you know it. This is just a setback. A setback? Tyler scoffed. Ryan, wake up, my knee is wrecked. The Scouts have probably already forgotten my name. By the time I'm healed, if I even heal properly, it'll be too late. We'll be graduating, and I'll be the has-been who never was. Tyler, that's not true. You can't give up. Just go, Ryan, Tyler interrupted, turning his face away. I'm tired. I need to rest. He heard Ryan sigh heavily before the sound of retreating footsteps signaled his departure. As soon as the door closed, Tyler let the tears he'd been holding back fall freely. The weight of his shattered dreams pressed down on him, threatening to suffocate him entirely. It was in this state of despair that Mr. Whitaker found him the next day. The old man hobbled into the room, leaning heavily on a cane, his face a mask of guilt and gratitude. "Tyler, my boy," Mr. Whitaker said softly. "I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am. If I had been more careful—" "Don't," Tyler cut him off, his voice flat. You don't need to apologize. It was my choice." Whitaker nodded slowly, taking a seat by Tyler's bed. "A choice that saved my life. You're a hero, Tyler. This town will never forget what you did." Tyler laughed humorlessly. "A hero, right. Some hero I am, lying here useless while my future goes up in smoke. Now you listen here, young man," Mr. Whitaker said, his voice taking on a stern edge that surprised Tyler. "I've lived a long life, seen more than my fair share of triumphs and tragedies. And I can tell you this, it's not the circumstances that define a person, it's how they respond to them." Tyler turned to look at the old man. Really look at him for the first time since he'd entered the room. There was a fire in Mr. Whitaker's eyes, a determination that seemed at odds with his frail appearance. "You think this is the end of your story, Mr. Whitaker continued. "This is just the beginning. The real test isn't how you play on the field, Tyler. It's how you play the game of life when the odds are stacked against you." Something in the old man's words struck a chord in Tyler. For the first time since the accident, he felt a flicker of something, not quite hope, but maybe the possibility of it. "I don't know how," Tyler admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to come back from this." Mr. Whitaker reached out, patting Tyler's hand gently. "One day at a time, my boy. One day at a time. And remember, you're not alone in this fight." As if to underscore Mr. Whitaker's words, Tyler's hospital room became a hub of activity in the days that followed. His teammates took turns visiting, bringing homework assignments and updates from school. Coach Harrison stopped by, his gruff exterior softening as he assured Tyler that his spot on the team would be waiting for him when he recovered. Even the local newspaper ran a front-page story about Tyler's heroic act, dubbing him Maple Ridge's guardian angel. The outpouring of support from the town was overwhelming, and Tyler found himself torn between gratitude for their kindness and frustration at being seen as an object of pity. The day Tyler was discharged from the hospital marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one defined by grueling physical therapy sessions and a painfully slow recovery process. Each small victory, bending his knee a few degrees further, taking a step without crutches, was counterbalanced by moments of intense frustration and pain. Weeks turned into months, and Tyler watched from the sidelines as his team played on without him. Each game was a bittersweet reminder of what he'd lost. He cheered for his teammates, genuinely happy for their successes, but the ache in his chest grew with every touchdown he couldn't be part of. It was after one such game, a narrow victory that secured the Mountaineers a spot in the state championships, that Ryan approached Tyler with an offer that would change everything. "Tyler, man, can we talk?" Ryan asked, glancing around to make sure they were alone in the locker room. Tyler nodded, curious about his friend's uncharacteristically serious demeanor. "What's up?" Ryan took a deep breath, seeming to steel himself. "I think I might have a solution to speed up your recovery. Something that could get you back on the field way sooner than the doctors are saying." Tyler's heart leaped. "What are you talking about?" Lowering his voice, Ryan leaned in closer. "I know a guy who can get us some supplements. The kind that pro athletes use to recover from injuries faster." It took a moment for Ryan's words to sink in. When they did, Tyler's eyes widened in disbelief. "Are you talking about steroids, Ryan? That's illegal. Not to mention dangerous." I know, Ryan said quickly, holding up his hands. "But hear me out. It's not like we'd be using them long term. Just enough to help you heal faster, get back in the game. Think about it. You could still catch the eye of those college scouts. Your dream doesn't have to be over." Tyler's mind raced. The rational part of him knew this was a bad idea, knew the risks involved. But another part, the part that ached every time he watched his team take the field without him, that dreamed of feeling the weight of a football in his hands again, whispered seductively of the possibilities. I don't know, Ryan, Tyler said hesitantly. It's a big risk, Ryan nodded understanding. You don't have to decide right now, just think about it, okay? This could be your second chance. As Ryan left, Tyler sat alone in the locker room, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The smell of sweat and grass, once so comforting, now seemed to mock him. He closed his eyes, imagining himself back on the field, leading his team to victory, impressing the scouts who had all but forgotten his name. But then another image intruded, Mr. Whitaker's earnest face, telling him that true character is revealed in how one faces adversity. Tyler opened his eyes, conflict raging within him. He had always prided himself on his integrity, on playing by the rules. But now, with his future hanging in the balance, were those principles worth sacrificing everything he'd worked for? As Tyler limped out of the locker room, leaning heavily on his cane, he felt as if he were standing on a precipice. Behind him lay the broken pieces of his old life, the shattered dreams of gridiron glory. Ahead, a fork in the road, one path steep and arduous but honest, the other promising a quicker route back to his former life, but fraught with danger and compromise. The choice, he realized with a mixture of fear and determination, would define not just his future as an athlete, but who he was as a person. As the cool evening air hit his face, Tyler Grayson took a deep breath, knowing that whatever decision he made, there would be no going back. The lights of the football field flickered off in the distance, leaving Tyler alone with his thoughts in the gathering darkness of Maple Ridge. The rhythmic tapping of Tyler's cane against the sidewalk echoed through the quiet streets of Maple Ridge. The sun had long since set, but sleep eluded him, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts and emotions. Ryan's offer of steroids had opened a Pandora's box of temptation and doubt. As he wandered aimlessly, Tyler found himself at the high school football field. The gates were locked, but he easily slipped through a gap in the fence, a secret passage known to generations of Maple Ridge students. The empty stands loomed in the darkness, silent witnesses to countless triumphs and defeats. Tyler made his way to the center of the field, his progress slow and labored. Standing on the 50-yard line, he closed his eyes, remembering the roar of the crowd, the adrenaline rush of a perfect pass, the exhilaration of victory. When he opened them again, the field was still empty, but now it seemed to pulse with possibility. I could have it all back, he whispered to the night air. Just a few injections and I could be myself again. But even as the words left his lips, doubt gnawed at him. Would it really be him on the field if he took the steroids? Or would he be cheating not just the game, but himself? The sound of approaching footsteps startled Tyler from his reverie. He turned, half expecting to see a security guard ready to chase him off the field. Instead, he found himself face to face with Mr. Whitaker. Seems I'm not the only one having trouble sleeping tonight, the old man said, a knowing smile on his weathered face. Tyler shifted uncomfortably, leaning heavily on his cane. Mr. Whitaker, what are you doing here? Oh, I often take late-night walks when sleep eludes me, Mr. Whitaker replied, his eyes twinkling in the moonlight. The real question is, what brings you out here at this hour, Tyler? For a moment, Tyler considered brushing off the question with a vague answer. But something in Mr. Whitaker's gentle gaze broke through his defenses. Before he knew it, words were spilling out of him like a dam bursting. I don't know who I am anymore, Tyler confessed, his voice cracking. Everything I was supposed to be, it's all gone. And now I have a chance to get it back. But I don't know if I can live with myself if I take it. Mr. Whitaker listened silently, his expression one of deep understanding. When Tyler finished, the old man gestured to the nearby bleachers. Why don't we sit down? These old bones of mine aren't what they used to be, and I suspect you could use a rest too. As they settled onto the cool metal seats, Mr. Whitaker turned to Tyler with a seriousness the young man had never seen before. Tyler, I think it's time I shared something with you. A story I've never told anyone in Maple Ridge. Intrigued, despite his inner turmoil, Tyler nodded for Mr. Whitaker to continue. You see, when I was about your age, I wasn't so different from you, Mr. Whitaker began, his voice taking on a distant quality as he delved into his memories. I was the star of my high school track team, with dreams of Olympic gold medals dancing in my head. My whole future seemed laid out before me, bright and shining. Tyler listened, captivated. He had never imagined Mr. Whitaker as anything other than the kindly old man he'd always known. But then, during my senior year, disaster struck, Mr. Whitaker continued. I developed a stress fracture in my foot. The doctor said I'd recover, but not in time for the state championships, my last chance to impress the college scouts. A chill ran down Tyler's spine at the eerie parallels to his own situation. I was desperate, Mr. Whitaker admitted, shaking his head at the memory. And then, like a devil whispering in my ear, an older teammate offered me a solution: anabolic steroids. He promised they'd help me heal faster, make me stronger than ever. Tyler's breath caught in his throat. Did you take them, Mr. Whitaker's eyes met Tyler's, filled with a mixture of regret and hard-won wisdom. I did, God help me, I did. I told myself it was just this once, just to get back on my feet. I convinced myself I'd earned it after all my hard work. What happened? Tyler asked, though part of him dreaded the answer. At first it seemed like a miracle, Mr. Whitaker said. I healed faster than anyone expected. I was back on the track in no time, running faster than ever. I won the state championship, got my college scholarship, everything I'd dreamed of. He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. Yeah, but it came at a cost, Tyler. A cost I'm still paying to this day. The steroids. They had side effects. Mr. Whitaker nodded gravely. Physical side effects, yes, but those weren't the worst of it. The real damage was to my soul, Tyler. Every victory felt hollow. Every congratulation made me feel like a fraud. I had compromised who I was, betrayed my own integrity. And for what? A few medals that now gather dust in my attic? Tyler sat in stunned silence, Mr. Whitaker's words resonating deeply within him. But surely people understand, Tyler argued weakly. If it was just to recover from an injury, do they? Mr. Whitaker challenged gently. Ask yourself this, Tyler. If you took those steroids, would you feel comfortable telling your parents? Your coach, the college scouts? Or would you carry it like a secret shame, always wondering if your achievements were really your own? The questions hit Tyler like a physical blow. He had been so focused on the potential benefits that he hadn't fully considered the psychological toll such a decision would take. I lost more than just my shot at the Olympics, Mr. Whitaker continued. I lost relationships, lost trust in myself. It took me years to rebuild my sense of self-worth, to find purpose beyond the fleeting glory of athletic achievement. Tyler's mind was reeling. The temptation of the steroids suddenly seemed far less alluring in the face of Mr. Whitaker's cautionary tale, but still, doubt lingered. But what if this is my only chance? Tyler asked, voicing the fear that had been gnawing at him. What if I never get back to where I was without them, Mr. Whitaker placed a comforting hand on Tyler's shoulder. Then you find a new dream, Tyler. You adapt, you overcome. But you do it honestly, with integrity. Because at the end of the day, long after the cheers have faded and the trophies have tarnished, all you have left is the person you see in the mirror. They sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of Mr. Whitaker's words settling over them like a blanket. Tyler's mind was a whirlwind of emotions. Gratitude for Mr. Whitaker's honesty, shame at having considered compromising his values, and a glimmer of something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Thank you, Tyler said finally, his voice thick with emotion, for trusting me with your story, for stopping me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Mr. Whitaker smiled, squeezing Tyler's shoulder gently. Oh, you're a good boy, Tyler, with or without football. Don't ever forget that. As they made their way off the field, Tyler felt as if a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. The path ahead was still uncertain, still daunting, but for the first time since the accident, he felt equipped to face it. The next morning, Tyler called Ryan and asked to meet him at their favorite diner. As they slid into a booth, the scent of coffee and pancakes filling the air, Tyler took a deep breath. I've made my decision, he said, meeting Ryan's expectant gaze. I'm not taking the steroids. Ryan's face fell. Tyler, come on. Think about what you're giving up. This could be your only shot. No, Tyler interrupted firmly. My only shot is being true to myself, Ryan. I won't compromise who I am, not even for football. For a moment, Ryan looked like he wanted to argue further. But something in Tyler's resolve must have gotten through to him. His shoulders slumped in defeat. Okay, man, if that's what you really want. But what are you going to do now? Tyler managed a small smile. Honestly, I'm not sure. But I'm going to face it head on, whatever comes. No shortcuts, no excuses. As they parted ways outside the diner, Tyler felt a renewed sense of purpose. He pulled out his phone and dialed his physical therapist's number. Hey, Dr. Roberts, it's Tyler Grayson. I was wondering if we could schedule some extra sessions this week. I want to really buckle down on my recovery. The weeks that followed were grueling. Tyler threw himself into his physical therapy with a fervor that surprised even his doctors. Every small improvement, every inch of flexibility regained in his knee felt like a personal victory. He also found himself spending more time with Mr. Whitaker, soaking up the old man's wisdom and perspective. Together, they started a youth mentorship program, with Tyler sharing his experiences with younger kids facing their own challenges. As the school year progressed, Tyler's absence from the football field remained a constant ache, but he found new ways to contribute to the team, attending every practice and game, offering advice and encouragement from the sidelines. His teammates, yet inspired by his resilience, rallied around him. It was a crisp autumn day, almost a year after the accident, when Tyler's life took another unexpected turn. He was leaving a physical therapy session, marveling at how he barely needed his cane anymore, when he quite literally ran into Coach Harrison. "Grayson!" the coach exclaimed, steadying Tyler. "Just the man I wanted to see. Got a minute?" Curious, Tyler nodded, following Coach Harrison to his office. As they settled into chairs, the coach leaned forward, his expression serious. "Why, Tyler, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Your recovery has been nothing short of remarkable. Dr. Roberts tells me you're making progress faster than anyone expected." Tyler nodded, a spark of hope igniting in his chest. Yes, sir. I've been working hard." "I can see that," Coach Harrison said, a hint of pride in his voice. "Now, I know we're nearing the end of the season, and you're probably thinking your chance has passed. But I've been talking with the team, and well, how would you feel about suiting up for our last game?" Tyler's heart skipped a beat. "Are you serious? But I haven't played in over a year." "I'm not in game shape. You let me worry about that," Coach Harrison interrupted. "You wouldn't be starting, of course. But having you on the field, even for a few plays, Tyler, it would mean the world to this team, to this town." Emotions welled up in Tyler's throat, threatening to overwhelm him. This was everything he had been working towards, dreaming of. But doubt still nagged at him. "Coachy, I appreciate the offer, but I don't want any special treatment. If I can't earn my place, hold it right there," Coach Harrison said, holding up a hand. "This isn't charity, Grayson. You've more than earned this with your dedication, your leadership from the sidelines, your refusal to give up. You're an inspiration to this team, Tyler. Having you on that field for our final game, it's a statement. A statement about resilience, about the power of community, about never giving up." Tyler sat back, stunned. He thought of all the long hours of therapy, the nights he'd spent doubting himself, the temptation he'd resisted. And now here was an opportunity he'd thought lost forever. "Okay," he said finally, a grin spreading across his face. "I'm in." The news spread through Maple Ridge like wildfire. Tyler's return to the team became the talk of the town. His teammates welcomed him back with open arms, and even his old rivals on other teams sent messages of support. The day of the final game arrived, and the atmosphere in Maple Ridge was electric. The stands were packed, with seemingly the entire town turning out to witness Tyler Grayson's return to the field. As Tyler stood on the sidelines, helmet in hand, he caught sight of Mr. Whitaker in the stands. The old man gave him a thumbs up, his face beaming with pride. Next to him sat Ryan, who had become one of Tyler's biggest supporters in the past year. With 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Mountaineers down by 4 points, Coach Harrison turned to Tyler. "All right, Grayson, this is it." As he stepped onto the field for the first time in over a year, the crowd erupted in cheers. The roar was deafening, but to Tyler, it all faded into the background. His focus narrowed to the feel of the turf under his cleats, the weight of the helmet on his head, the familiar tension in his muscles as he crouched behind the center. The ball snapped into his hands, and time seemed to slow. Tyler dropped back, his eyes scanning the field. His knee, once a source of constant pain, now moved smoothly as he evaded a rushing defender. He spotted an opening and, Kirk, with all the strength and precision he could muster, launched the ball downfield. The pass arced through the air, a perfect spiral. Tyler held his breath as his teammate stretched out, fingers grasping, and then the stadium exploded, touchdown. As his teammates mobbed him as the crowd chanted his name, Tyler felt a sense of completion wash over him. This moment, this triumph, was sweeter than any he had known before, because he had earned it, truly earned it, through pain and perseverance and unwavering integrity. In that moment, on that field, Tyler Grayson was more than just a football player. He was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a living example of what it means to face adversity with courage and come out stronger on the other side. As the final whistle blew, sealing the Mountaineers' victory, Tyler scanned the cheering crowd. His eyes met Mr. Whitaker's, and an unspoken understanding passed between them. This was more than just a game. It was redemption, resurrection, and the start of a new chapter. Tyler raised his helmet high, basking in the glow of his greatest victory, not just on the field but over his own doubts and fears. He had faced his crossroads and chosen the harder path, and standing there, surrounded by the love and support of his community, Tyler knew he had made the right choice. The future was still uncertain. College scouts might or might not take notice of his comeback. His football career might soar to new heights or take a different path entirely. But Tyler Grayson was no longer afraid of the unknown. He had discovered a strength within himself that no injury could take away, a resilience that would serve him well no matter where life took him. As he was carried off the field on his teammates' shoulders, Tyler caught sight of a group of young kids watching him with awe. In their eyes, he saw the same dreams and aspirations he had once held, and he made a silent vow to be for them what Mr. Whitaker had been for him, a guide, a mentor, a living example of integrity in the face of adversity. The lights of the stadium shone bright against the dark Colorado sky, illuminating not just the field, but the path forward. Tyler Grayson had come to his crossroads and emerged not just a better athlete, but a better man. And in that moment, under the lights of Maple Ridge, that was the greatest victory of all. You ready? Tyler nodded, his heart pounding. The weeks following Tyler Grayson's triumphant return to the football field were a whirlwind of activity and emotion. The story of his comeback had spread far beyond the borders of Maple Ridge, capturing the imagination of people across the state and even garnering some national attention. Local news outlets clamored for interviews, and Tyler found himself thrust into the spotlight once again. But this time, it felt different. As Tyler sat in the office of Principal Hawkins, he couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed in the past year. The walls were adorned with newspaper clippings and photos from the final game, Tyler's game-winning pass frozen in time. "Tyler," Principal Hawkins began, leaning forward with a warm smile, "I hope you realize the impact you've had on this school, on this entire community. Your resilience, your integrity, it's inspired so many." Tyler nodded, a mix of pride and humility washing over him. "Thank you, sir. But I couldn't have done it without the support of everyone here." "That's just it," the principal continued. "You've shown us all the power of community, of never giving up on each other, which is why we have a proposal for you." Tyler raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "We want to establish a mentorship program here at Maple Ridge High," Principal Hawkins explained. "A program to help students facing challenges, whether they're athletes dealing with injuries, kids struggling with academic pressure, or anyone who feels like they're at a crossroads. And we want you to help lead it." The offer took Tyler by surprise. "Me? But I'm just a student myself." Principal Hawkins chuckled. "A student who's faced incredible adversity and come out stronger. Your experience, on your perspective, it could be invaluable to others who are struggling." As the details of the program were laid out, Tyler felt a sense of purpose igniting within him. This was a chance to take everything he'd learned, all the support he'd received, and pay it forward. "I'd be honored," Tyler said finally, his voice filled with determination. The mentorship program quickly became Tyler's new passion. He threw himself into it with the same dedication he'd once reserved for football, working alongside teachers and counselors to create a support system for students in need. One crisp autumn afternoon, As Tyler was leaving a mentorship session, he ran into Ryan in the hallway. "Hey, superstar," Ryan greeted him with a grin. "Heard you're changing lives now instead of just winning games." Tyler laughed, falling into step with his friend. "I'm trying, at least. How about you? Ready for the big game this weekend?" A shadow passed over Ryan's face. "Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about integrity and all that." Tyler listened intently as Ryan confessed that he'd been considering using performance enhancers to improve his chances of getting scouted. "But then I saw you, man. Saw how you came back, how you stuck to your principles. It made me realize I don't want to take shortcuts either." Pride swelled in Tyler's chest, not for himself, but for his friend. "That's a big decision, Ryan. I'm proud of you." As they parted ways, Tyler marveled at the ripple effect of choices. His decision had not only changed his own life, but was now influencing others to make better choices too. The mentorship program flourished under Tyler's guidance. Students who had once felt lost or overwhelmed found a safe space to share their struggles and work towards solutions. Tyler's own experience became a powerful tool, showing others that setbacks didn't have to define them. One day, as Tyler was wrapping up a session with a sophomore struggling with anxiety, he noticed Mr. Whitaker waiting for him in the hallway. "Mr. Whitaker," Tyler greeted him warmly. "What brings you to our neck of the woods?" The old man's eyes twinkled. "Can't an old-timer check in on his protege? I've been hearing great things about this program of yours." As they walked together, Mr. Whitaker filled Tyler in on the latest town gossip before his tone turned more serious. "You know, Tyler, watching you these past months, it's given an old fool like me hope. You've taken your second chance and turned it into something beautiful." Tyler felt a lump form in his throat. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mr. Whitaker. Your story, your guidance, it changed everything for me." Mr. Whitaker patted Tyler's arm affectionately. "We all need a little help sometimes, my boy. The true measure of a man is what he does with that help." As they reached the school's exit, Mr. Whitaker paused. "Oh, I almost forgot. This came for you at the community center." He handed Tyler a large envelope. Tyler's heart skipped a beat as he recognized the logo on the envelope. It was from State University, one of the colleges he'd dreamed of attending before his injury. With trembling hands, Tyler opened the envelope and began to read. His eyes widened as he took in the words. They want me to come for a visit," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not for football, but they're interested in my work with the mentorship program. They have a scholarship for students who've demonstrated leadership and community impact." Mr. Whitaker's face split into a wide grin. "Now that's something, isn't it? Seems to me like you've found a new playing field, Tyler, one where you can make an even bigger difference." As the reality of the opportunity sank in, Tyler felt a surge of emotions, excitement, nervousness, and a profound sense of gratitude. This wasn't the future he had originally envisioned for himself, but somehow it felt even more meaningful. I never thought," Tyler began, his voice thick with emotion. "When I was lying in that hospital bed, I thought everything was over. But now," Mr. Whitaker squeezed his shoulder, "now you're just getting started, my boy. Just getting started." As they walked out into the crisp Colorado afternoon, Tyler's mind raced with possibilities. The path ahead was different from what he'd once imagined, but it was no less exciting. He had faced his crossroads, made the hard choice, and come out stronger on the other side. Tyler looked back at the school building, thinking of all the lives he'd touched, and all the lives yet to be impacted. He had found a new purpose, a new way to lead and inspire. And as he stood there, the future stretching out before him like an open road, Tyler Grayson realized that sometimes the most remarkable journeys begin when we think we've reached the end. The sun was setting over Maple Ridge, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. As Tyler and Mr. Whitaker made their way down the quiet street, their conversation filled with plans and possibilities. Tyler felt a sense of peace settle over him. He had faced his greatest challenge and emerged not just intact, but transformed. And now, with the support of his community and the lessons he'd learned, he was ready to tackle whatever new horizons awaited him. 5 years had passed since that fateful day when Tyler Grayson's life had changed forever on a crosswalk in Maple Ridge. The small Colorado town looked much the same as it always had. But for Tyler, returning home felt like stepping into a familiar dream, at once comforting and surreal. As he drove down Main Street in a rental car, memories flooded back. The diner where he and Ryan had spent countless hours planning their football futures, the high school field where he'd experienced both his greatest triumphs and his darkest moments, the hospital where he'd faced the possibility of losing everything he thought mattered. Tyler pulled up in front of a modest house with a well-tended garden. Taking a deep breath, he stepped out of the car and made his way to the front door. Before he could knock, it swung open, revealing Mr. Whitaker. The old man's face lit up with a smile that erased years from his weathered features. "Tyler, my boy, Mr. Whitaker exclaimed, pulling him into a warm embrace. "Look at you, the big college graduate." Tyler laughed, returning the hug with equal warmth. "It's good to see you, Mr. Whitaker." "Really good." As they settled into Mr. Whitaker's living room, the familiar scent of old books and peppermint tea enveloping them, Tyler couldn't help but marvel at how life had come full circle. "So, Mr. Whitaker began, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. "Tell me everything. How does it feel to be done with college?" Tyler leaned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Honestly, it feels a bit surreal. 4 years ago, I never would have imagined this is where I'd end up, but I wouldn't change it for the world." He went on to share stories from his time at State University, the challenges he'd faced, the friends he'd made, and the ways he'd continued to grow. Throughout his college years, Tyler had remained deeply involved in mentorship programs, expanding his impact beyond what he'd ever thought possible. "And now," Mr. Whitaker prodded gently, "what does the future hold for Tyler Grayson?" A smile played at the corners of Tyler's mouth. "Well, that's actually why I wanted to see you first. I've been offered a position with a non-profit organization that works with at-risk youth through sports and mentorship programs. It's a chance to take everything I've learned and use it to make a real difference." Mr. Whitaker's face lit up with pride. "Tyler, that's wonderful news. I always knew you were destined for great things, even if the path wasn't quite what we expected." Tyler nodded, his expression turning serious. "None of this would have been possible without you, Mr. Whitaker. Your story, your guidance, it changed the course of my life. I don't know if I ever properly thanked you for that." The old man waved off Tyler's gratitude with a gentle hand. "You thanked me every day, Tyler. Every time you chose integrity over easy solutions. Every time you used your experience to help others. That's all the thanks I ever needed." As the afternoon wore on, their conversation flowed freely, touching on the past, present, and future. Tyler shared his nervousness about the new job, his hopes for the impact he could make, and his gratitude for the journey that had led him here. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across Mr. Whitaker's living room, Tyler glanced at his watch. "I should probably get going. I promised my parents I'd be home for dinner, and I still need to swing by the high school." Mr. Whitaker raised an eyebrow. "The high school? What for?" Tyler's eyes twinkled with a hint of mischief. "Let's just say I have some unfinished business there." Later that evening, Tyler found himself standing once again on the 50-yard line of Maple Ridge High's football field. The stands were empty, the field quiet, but to Tyler, it was alive with echoes of the past. He closed his eyes, remembering the roar of the crowd, the weight of the ball in his hands, the exhilaration of that final, triumphant game. But now those memories were tinged with something new, perspective, gratitude, and a deep sense of purpose. "I thought I might find you here." Tyler turned to see Coach Harrison approaching, a smile on his gruff face. "Coach," Tyler greeted him warmly. "I hope you don't mind me stopping by." Coach Harrison clapped a hand on Tyler's shoulder. "And this field will always be yours, son. You know that." As they stood there in the fading light, Tyler felt a wave of emotion wash over him. "You know, Coach, for the longest time, I thought this field was my whole world. That football was the only future I had." The older man nodded understanding. "And now?" Tyler gestured broadly, taking in not just the field, but the town beyond. "And now I see it was just the beginning. Football taught me about teamwork, dedication, pushing through pain. But what happened here? The injury, the comeback, the choices I made, that taught me who I really am. Who I could be." Coach Harrison's eyes shone with pride. You've come a long way, Grayson. This town, this school, we're all better for having been part of your journey. As they made their way off the field, Tyler paused at the gate, looking back one last time. In his mind's eye, he saw his younger self, the star quarterback with the world at his feet, the injured player facing an uncertain future, the young man making a difficult but principled choice. Each version of himself had led him here to this moment, to the man he had become, a man of integrity, of purpose, of compassion. "Are you ready to go?" Coach Harrison asked gently. Tyler nodded, a sense of peace settling over him. "Yeah, I'm ready." As they walked away from the field, Tyler's steps were light, unburdened by regret or what-ifs. He had faced his crossroads, made his choice, and found his path. And though that path had led him away from the football field, it had brought him to a place where he could make a far greater impact. The next morning, as Tyler prepared to leave Maple Ridge once more, this time to start his new job in the next chapter of his life, he made one last stop. Standing before Mr. Whitaker's house, he hesitated for just a moment before knocking. The old man answered, a knowing look in his eyes. "Off to change the world, are you?" Tyler laughed. "One kid at a time, maybe. I wanted to say goodbye. And thank you again for everything, Mr. Whitaker pulled him into a hug. "You go out there and make us proud, Tyler. Remember, true success isn't measured by trophies or accolades. It's measured by the lives you touch, the difference you make." As Tyler drove out of Maple Ridge, watching the town recede in his rearview mirror, he felt not sadness, but anticipation. He carried with him the lessons of this small town, the wisdom of Mr. Whitaker, the unwavering support of his family and community. The road ahead was wide open, full of possibility, and Tyler Grayson was ready to face whatever challenges it might bring, armed with the strength of his convictions and the knowledge that integrity, compassion, and perseverance could overcome any obstacle. As Maple Ridge disappeared from view, Tyler smiled to himself. This wasn't an ending, he realized. It was a beginning, and the best was yet to come.